You know that feeling, right? The tense conversation, that awkward disagreement, the argument that just goes in circles. Ugh, conflict is just part of being human, but it doesn't have to be this huge source of stress. What if, and hear me out, what if we could actually get good at it? Let's figure out how. So, let's just get this out of the way right now. Is every single conflict a bad sign for your relationship? Does a disagreement mean you're on the verge of collapse? Absolutely not. In fact, getting through disagreements is actually one of the most powerful ways to make your connections even stronger. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to bust some common myths about conflict. Then, we'll figure out what your personal conflict style is. After that, I'll give you a step-by-step roadmap to actually resolve things. And finally, we'll get into some real tactics to help you fight smarter, not harder. All right, first things first, let's talk about the myths. A lot of the time, the real problem isn't the disagreement itself, it's all the baggage and wrong ideas we bring to it. So what are we even talking about when we say interpersonal conflict? Well, it's basically just a disagreement between people whose lives are connected in some way. Friends, family, coworkers. The key part is that you each perceive your goals as being incompatible. Like you want to watch a sci-fi movie, your partner wants to watch a comedy. It feels like you can't both get what you want. Okay, let's tackle the biggest myth of all, the idea that you should just avoid conflict at all costs. I get it, it feels easier to just not deal with it, but avoiding the issue is like letting leftovers rot in the back of the fridge. It just creates resentment, and eventually, it's going to get a whole lot worse. And myth number 2, if you're fighting, your relationship must be in trouble. Nope, not true. Conflict is completely, totally, 100% inevitable. It doesn't mean things are falling apart. It just means you're two different people who disagree on something. That's it. Which leads us to myth number 3. Conflict always does damage. You know what? It can actually be the total opposite. When you handle it right, conflict forces you to talk about the real issues, to understand each other better, and to come up with solutions together. That can make a relationship way, way stronger. And the last myth for today, this idea that every conflict is a battle, where one person has to win and the other has to lose. But what if it wasn't a competition? What if it was a puzzle you could solve together, where you both end up winning? That's the goal. And this is a really important distinction to make. Sometimes we're arguing about the content, what movie to watch, whose turn it is to do the dishes. But a lot of the time, that's just the surface. Underneath, there's a relationship conflict. It's not really about the dishes, it's about fairness or respect, or who has more power. Spotting that difference is a game changer. Okay, so we've busted some myths. Now it's time to look in the mirror a little bit. We all have a default way of handling conflict, a go-to style. Figuring out yours is the first step toward getting better at it. So let's see which one you are. So there are basically 5 styles. You've got the competitor. Their motto is, I win, you lose. Then there's the avoider, who just checks out completely. That's a lose-lose. The accommodator is the opposite of the competitor. I lose, you win, always giving in. The compromiser looks for that middle ground, where everybody gives up a little something. And then the gold standard, the collaborator. They're all about finding that I win, you win solution. As you're listening, which one sounds a little familiar? So, you know the myths. You might have an idea of your style. Now what? What do you actually do? Well, this next part is a clear roadmap to help you navigate a disagreement without all the chaos. Here it is, a 7-step process. It might look like a lot, but it's pretty simple. You set the stage, find the right time and place. Then you define the conflict. Get super specific about what the problem actually is. Identify your goals. Brainstorm some choices and figure out which one works best. Then you act on it, and after a bit, you evaluate it. Did it work? Finally, you wrap it up and learn from it. See? It's a framework that keeps things moving forward. All right, we're in the home stretch. This last section is all about practical tactics. This is the how-to for making your disagreements way more constructive. Honestly, it all starts with your mindset. Are you going in to win, or are you going in to solve a problem? A win-lose approach just builds resentment. But aiming for a win-win solution, that turns a fight into a team project. It changes everything. Next up, avoidance versus what we call active fighting. Now, active fighting doesn't mean yelling, not at all. It means you actually engage with the problem head-on. You take responsibility for your own feelings using I statements, and you actively work toward a solution instead of just disappearing. And this one is so important. There's a huge difference between being verbally aggressive and being argumentative. Verbal aggressiveness is when you attack the person. You go for the low blow. Argumentativeness, on the other hand, is when you attack the problem. You can argue your point passionately while still respecting the person you're talking to. One builds walls, the other builds understanding. Okay, so let's pack up your new conflict toolkit. Here are the key takeaways. Number 1, conflict is gonna happen, and that's okay. 2, know your go-to style so you can manage it. 3, use that 7-step process when things get messy. 4, always aim for that win-win solution. And 5, argue the issue, never ever attack the person. So I'll leave you with this question. Thinking about everything we just talked about, what's one conflict in your life that you can approach differently starting today? Because getting good at this isn't about never fighting again. It's about building stronger, more honest relationships, one tough conversation at a time.